Welcome, everyone. It's fantastic to have you here for another episode of the Ragu Show, brought to you by the They Follow from Burness Network. We're so excited to dive into today's topic with you. Our goal is always to bring you content that's not only engaging, but also leaves you with something valuable to think about. Thank you for being a part of our journey. We truly appreciate you tuning in and being with us.
What up, Raider Nation? Welcome in to another exciting episode of the Ragu Show. So, first of all, before we jump into it, I have some thoughts about the pressure after the OTAs from Coach Kubiak. But before we get into all that, please get a like, share, comment, subscribe. Please comment on the video. Let me know what you think. Also, don't forget about our sponsor, shebangboutique.com. That's the main thing that stood out was Kubiak is a no-nonsense guy. You should listen to what he says about the guys celebrating right before practice.
There was a moment after stretching where the team got together and everybody was giving other high fives and kind of sharing some camaraderie. Was that an organic thing, or did you build that into post stretching?
I put that on our team leaders. It's important for them to just come together before practice. I thought it was a little too lengthy. We probably lost 2 minutes of practice time right there, so we can dap it up a little quicker next time. It's a practice time right there, so we can dap it up a little quicker next time.
What is your approach to OTAs?
To get these guys in position for training camp, get them in football shape for training camp. Obviously, we're going to evaluate them, but OTAs put you in position for training camp, and then training camp puts them in position for the season.
It was very interesting when he talked about the defense. He mentioned Matt, Joe, and Robbie specifically as coaches. Those guys, that's Matt Robinson. They have him listed as a safeties coach. Joe Woods, they have him listed as the passing game coordinator. And, Robbie Leonard is the D-core. But those are the three guys that he always mentions, or that he mentioned in this presser specifically. You'll hear that right here.
You mentioned getting the guys ready for training camp. How much progression have you seen from Jamad McCoy in rookie camp to where he is right now?
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's come in here and worked his tail off, doing everything that we've asked him to do. He's got out there on the practice field and has shown the player that we've seen on tape. So just looking forward to progressing him along with all those new DBs. It's an impressive group, really well-coached group by Joe and Matt and Robbie. Very competitive young men right now in that defensive back room.
So basically the Raiders saw that the secondary needed help, right? Period. And when you think about it, the Raiders were decent against the run most times. Not the best, but they had a decent run game. They had a couple games where the guy got out on them. But I remember specifically the Chargers, the little dude broke one. And also Washington Redskins, the dude broke one, I remember. But the backs didn't really mess over them too much. It was receivers really just had their way with Raiders. Whether because of pass rush and poor coverage or poor coverage despite pass rush. It really wasn't a lot of sacks either. I'll get a Raider DBs that. But, you could basically have a 3rd and 9 and confidently pick that up versus the Raiders defense last year. And maybe not so much in AP's year, but it has been like that. They haven't had the DBs, man. So they got, this season, in the off season, they went out and got re-signed Stooks, drafted Jamad McCoy. They just got Porter last year. They drafted Hezekiah Massis. They drafted Traden Stooks. They drafted Dalton Johnson. So, right, 4 guys. Stooks, McCoy, both high-rated guys. can probably start year one in most places. Should be able to start year one for the Raiders, because it's not like they had, this like serious DB group. I think Stooks is going to be penciled into that star position, or that nickel corner, if you will. And I think McCoy is going to really push to start at one of the corners as well, from what I've been hearing. And just overall, Kubiak knows why he's here. Okay? He knows why the Raiders hired him. Listen to this.
Obviously, learning that on the fly. We hired these assistants for a reason, so we got to trust them to do their jobs. And I know the Raiders brought me here for a reason as well. To coach offense, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time with the offense, and got to make sure I get that right, all the while being with the whole team. But Robbie Leonard and Joe DeCamillis, two phenomenal coaches that I'm really happy to have leading their units.
What are the signs that you'll see that Fernando is making progress, that he's making the strides you want him to make?
Completions, getting the ball to playmakers and letting them work on time. That's the progress we want to see.
Speaking of playmakers, one of the guys you talked about early on when you took the job was Trey Tucker. What have you seen from him now that you guys have actually been on the field a little bit?
Really no surprise there from what you've seen previously. He can run all day. He's a quiet leader, a guy that we're going to put in a leadership role. He's got to be a playmaker for us, and he has been. And now let's go see what else we can get out of him.
I know you don't want to make comparisons, but does he remind you of somebody you may have coached in the past with his skill set?
Yes, it's not. Sometimes that's not fair to say out loud, but when you got a guy that's that size and that competitive and works that hard, there's not a whole lot of humans on the planet that can put as many yards on the field at that high of a speed. So he's been really impressive.
Trey Zoom was playing a lot of right tackle today. Is that the position that you all see him playing at going forward, or is it going to be moving around a little bit more?
Yeah, really drafted Trey to be able to play a lot of positions. So whether it's tackle, guard, center, he's learning it all. He's got everything between the ears to do that, and so we're going to give him a chance to help us on all areas of the line.
How pleased, or I guess just how would you evaluate the process that you've had of just installing everything you want to install, offensively, defensively, what you want the practice to look like, film sessions, that sort of thing? Where are you at in just kind of evaluating that process?
Yeah, well, really never pleased. Really, we can always be better. We're always, very critical of ourselves with how can we get the most out of these every hour for these players in a positive way, and let them know that we are not wasting their time. We've put in the work for them to give them productive days. So I think you're always trying to improve there. We're off to a solid start. Everyone's undefeated right now, right? But we know sooner or later that it's going to get real competitive, and we got to find out, who's the guys we can count on in those stressful situations, coaches included.
I know it's early in the process, but how do you earn your shield?
How do you earn your shield? Well, we'll find out if we get it by training camp. If we can uphold the standard that we put in front of these players in our team meeting, if our conditioning level is where it needs to be, if we can practice the right way, if we can handle our business outside the building, we can represent the shield the right way.
The defense is going to be pretty much left up to Robbie, but Joe Woods has a lot of experience, man, as a D-core, man, so he's going to help Coach Leonard a lot, man, because he's really the guy here. And everywhere he shows up, his DB units improve and are in the top 16 teams in the league, ranking-wise, and pretty much across the board in all categories, specifically in red zone stops and takeaways, though. So he obviously, I used to say the guys on the Raiders didn't get close enough to the receivers. He's obviously about to coach these guys up to get closer to these receivers on these third and pass situations and these second and pass situations, man, because the Raiders just weren't cutting it over the years and making it kind of easy on teams. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted you guys to hear from the presser. I wanted to highlight the coaches and what they're thinking and doing and the philosophy of the coaches. and what they are building. Like I see, all these people doing content on players, okay? So I said, you know what? I'm not just going to jump into, the same thing everybody else is doing and just saturated with a bunch of the same stuff. I'm going to go with what the coaches are talking about. So this is how we're going to approach it coming into mini camp in June, and then training camp in July, and then the preseason games in August, which got announced. And the Raiders are going to be having the inter-squad scrimmage with the Texans, the Houston Texans. So it's like the weekend or week of August 20th. So that's going to be cool. So they'll know where they're at because the Texans got a nice defense. So Kubiak can know where, the offense is at. And, the Raider Nation, we don't get to see the practice, but they'll see. And they'll know where they're at. So, yeah, that was it. Just went, baby. I ain't going to hold you. But
Thanks for tuning in to the Raider Ragu Show. Don't forget to download the show, like, comment, and subscribe for more Raiders content. Follow us on YouTube at Raider Ragu for updates and behind-the-scenes action. Stay loyal. Raider Nation will see you next time.